long time no see. I know, I've been slacking. I think July just kind of fried my brain. Anyways, so last time we talked about the book Less, and I don't remember what book we were going to read next, but I went through it. I didn't like it, so I didn't read that one. Instead, I read this one, Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking by Malcolm Gladwell. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great book, actually. I love Malcolm Gladwell. He writes amazing books. This book breaks down the neuroscience and psychology to reveal that the difference between good and bad decision making has less to do with how much info we process and more on our ability to use our gut instincts. Now, I have lived by my gut for a long time, and then I stopped and went by, I don't know what you'd say, other people's rules, or did what other people said I should, and it didn't work out. So I'm going back to doing my gut instinct thing because that works better, and everybody else can just suck my fill in the blank. So quote. Okay. What we think of as free will is largely an illusion. Much of the time we are simply operating on autopilot, and the way we think and act and how well we think and act on the spur of the moment are a lot more susceptible to outside influences than we realize. So, I mean, it's true if you're kind of like in a, not necessarily a life or death situation, but you're in a situation where you're like, oh shit, do I need to get this or this? You're doing it kind of on the run as you're going, and that, to me, for me personally, works a lot better than, hemming and hawing over stuff. Whatever. Okay, yeah. So they talked about the IAT, which is the implicit association test. Quote, we make connections much more quickly between pairs of ideas that are already related in our minds than we do between pairs of ideas that are unfamiliar to us. The effect that it is measuring are not subtle. When there's when there's a strong prior association, people answer between 400 and 600 milliseconds faster. And so for this implicit association test, there are several types that you can try, and you can actually try these. I did the race one since it was spoken about in the book, and I was pissed. I was like, really? I did not think that's what my answer would have been, like at the end of the test, score, not answer, but score at the end of the test. I didn't think that's what my score would have been, and I was like, oh, I didn't like it. I was mad, whatever. But it is what it is. I'm going to put that at the end of this, just like a little screenshot that I took so that you guys can see it. You'll probably have to like zoom in on it, but okay, like I said, there are several types to try, and I did the race one, and you can try it yourself. The website is www.implicit.harvard.edu. So I guess I'll spell that out if you guys want to try it. www.implicit.harvard, HARVARD.edu. And I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of different ones to try. I'd like to go back and try some more because it was interesting. Kind of gives you an idea of what your subconscious is thinking that you didn't realize. Quote, if something happens outside awareness, how on earth do you fix it? The answer is that we are not helpless in the face of our first impressions. They may bubble up from the unconscious, but just because something is outside of awareness doesn't mean it's outside of control, which is helpful, which kind of relates to what I said at the beginning, where I did the gut instinct and I didn't, and now going back to doing my own gut instinct because it works for me, and that seems, you know, to be better. I'm obviously able to control it because, you know, I've gotten back to using it. I sounded super stupid just then. Okay. When someone is autistic, they, in the words of psychologist Simon Baron-Cohen, are mind blind, which means they have difficulty interpreting nonverbal cues such as gestures and facial expressions and putting themselves in someone else's head or drawing understanding from anything other than the literal meaning of words. I feel that way myself sometimes, you know, you just kind of, you know, I don't think necessarily you have to be autistic to feel that way. I think you can just kind of feel that way. Quote. I think we become temporarily autistic also in situations where we run out of time. When we make a split-second decision, we are really vulnerable to being guided by our stereotypes and prejudices, even ones we may not necessarily endorse or believe, which, you know, I think that's completely true. Quote, understanding the true nature of instinctive decision-making requires us to be forgiving of those people trapped in circumstances where good judgment is imperiled. That was kind of a standout quote, if you read the book. And, quote, we have come to confuse information with understanding. Holy crap, yeah, totally have. So I would give this a 5 out of 5. I love Malcolm Gladwell, even though I can't say his name very well. Like I said, I would give it a 5 out of 5. It was a great read. It's informative, and he doesn't make you feel stupid while you're reading it. And I know that I also have another book by him that's in my own personal to-be-read collection. I'll get to that eventually. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add or question or comment. If you like this video, you can share it if you want to. And for the whole full uninterrupted video, check it out on YouTube. It's going to be Blink with Jenn. And then, so my next book that I'm going to be doing a review on, I had just finished reading this last night, so I still have to take, you know, write down my notes and stuff, so that's why there's like a whole bunch of stickies coming out. But it's called Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, and I've read Anne Lamott before. She's really good. She kind of thinks a lot like I do, it feels like, and I just enjoy it. And obviously there's a bunch of little tags that I made because, and this one is actually, this book is some instructions on writing and life, and it's kind of like she's telling you kind of what she tells her students when she has writing classes, and I thought that was really interesting and helpful. And hey, you don't have to pay to get some information from like a super great published author, right? And it's also helpful because I'm thinking, sort of, maybe, of starting to write at least like short stories, you know, like 1 or 2 page short stories or something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, sorry for the delay. July was just hot and I felt new. So, hope you guys are having a good day. I will talk to you later, and bye.